it should not be common to have as much back pain as you do, to have as much shoulder pain as you do. It should not be common to have so much pain in all these places just living your day-to-day life. But it's way more common than you think. And it's also because 99% of people that are coming to me are doing something wrong when it comes to this pain. I have a client, he's a pilot, he's 64 years old. He used to play sports growing up. He played football. He ran track. He used to be very active growing up. He's gained a lot of weight over the years, and sometimes he'll join programs. He'll lose a lot of weight, but he'll never be able to keep it off. And with him, as a pilot, he's flying international flights. He's flying all over the planet, sitting down for hours on end. He essentially has no break time in between to where he can just get up and move constantly when you are flying. You can't just stand up every 2 minutes and take a lap, so to speak. So with him, he notices he has a lot of back pain. He has a lot of shoulder pain. He has a lot of things going on where his knees are screwing with him. And he noticed that he probably averages about 2 injuries a year where something is starting to mess with him, whether that's, just reaching his 60s and it's starting to catch up to him now, or whether that's his lack of movement or lack of consistency in movement. But he said the one thing that started to change for him was a little bit of a mental shift, a little bit of something that he didn't know was okay. And that's the fact that moving is so much more important than you think and than you realize. In his case, as a pilot, sometimes he has to stay sitting down for hours on end. There's not a whole lot of movement there. But how about when he's not flying? How about when he's at home with his wife, who I also train? What about when he is walking the city at night and he has a day off in between in, Thailand or wherever, in Germany, wherever it might be? All those times where he has downtime is when we started moving more. We started walking more. He started hitting the gym a lot more frequently. He started hitting the elliptical after the gym, something low impact on his knees, something that lets him move, lets him get some sort of blood flow. And he realized that through his movement came a lot more success with his physique and his pain. Ironically enough, right? You're like, well, if something is hurting, shouldn't I avoid it? And that's something that most of my guys over the age of 40 have thought for years, is that, well, if this hurts, let me stay off of it so that I can let it heal and recover. Now, if you just had a surgery, like he's had multiple knee replacement surgeries, yes, stay off of that thing for a certain extent, for a certain amount of time. But if you're like, wow, I've been sitting all day and my back's really hurting, like maybe I should just lay down, maybe I should just take it easy. It's almost the opposite, where when you are sitting, you're tight, your hips are tight. Sometimes your low back just hurts because your hips are super tight, and vice versa. When you are not moving, you're creating this constriction, you're lacking blood flow, and you're also not burning off the same amount of calories when you're just standing there or sitting there, as opposed to if you're getting up, you're moving, you're walking, you're, vacuuming the house, you're folding laundry, you're doing stuff. It makes a big difference, especially whether you have a blue collar job or a white collar job. If your day to day activity is super high, you're going to be losing a lot more weight, you're going to be a lot more active, you're probably going to feel less pain than what you typically would if you just worked a desk job the whole time. And so with him, we noticed that the more frequent workouts we can do, the easier it is for him to actually get rid of that pain. He had a couple issues with his rhomboid a while back. His knees. He used to be what we would call fearful of doing certain movements. Now he has a barbell squat. He does a barbell squat. He puts a bar on his back. He puts a weight on the bar. And, even 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, he was super fearful of this because he thought, well, my knees are bad. I don't know if my back can handle this. Like, how should I go about this? So what we did was we slowly progressed him. Body weight squats, assisted squats, just variations of getting that movement pattern down to where he'd feel comfortable, and he started to see that his knees were actually loosening up a bit. His back started getting stronger. A lot of the times when you are neglecting something and it is in pain, it is because it is weak. For example, some people have very, very strong quads, the front of their thighs, but their hamstrings and glutes might be super weak. So they think, oh yeah, like I feel a lot of pain there, so I just kind of avoid it. When in reality, overcoming that weakness through strength training, through some sort of mobility work, some sort of even just stretching, and then even just walking can go such a long way in that. And so we noticed with Greg, my pilot, As we started to move more, that pain started to go away. As he started to get comfortable with how we approached things, that trust started to become a lot more built as opposed to what it was when we first started. He realized, okay, essentially, coach is giving me permission to squat. He is saying, hey, this is a good thing. His doctors were saying, hey, resistance training is a good thing. Everyone around him, all the professionals around him started telling him the same things, where he realized it kind of gave him an idea of, okay, I'm not fragile. I'm not necessarily broken. I just need to have someone tell me, hey, this is what I need to do. Squatting is good. Resistance training is good. Pushing heavier weights is a good thing. This is how we continue to get stronger. Even if you're going high reps, you continue to get stronger by pushing heavier regardless. And you're practicing that movement pattern and you're doing it frequently. He notices that sometimes when we have a very slow month where it's not a lot of workouts, not a lot of activity, probably some unhealthy eating or some extra drinking in there, he notices like, dang, my shoulder's starting to hurt again. My hips are getting tight again. And I asked him, I was like, why do you think that is? He's like, well, I've just been sitting on my butt the whole time. He's very honest. He's very honest. He knows and he's very aware too of everything he's doing and what all has been going on. So as he starts moving again, as he starts walking more, as he starts going to the gym more frequently, he notices a lot of that pain starts to go away. So when you're lacking a certain amount of activity, when you're lacking a certain amount of structure that actually works for you, like I said, he travels for work. It is hard to be traveling constantly in like every week of your life and then still have some sort of routine there. So we always have contingency plans. We always have backup plans. Here is your plan when you are home. This is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to focus on. What do you have available to you when you're going out of the country, out of state? What do you have available to you? Okay, we don't have any gyms. You're going to do a bodyweight workout in your room. Quick bodyweight workout, 15 minutes, get your heart rate up, take a shower, go to bed. Something quick, something easy. The place he's at right now has a full-on gym, fancy gym, a lot of equipment. Cool. We're going to continue your program just like normal. We're actually going to hit it even harder now because he's in a very unique position to where it's just work and just the routine, and he's staying there for 20 days essentially, which gives him a lot of time to be able to move more, as opposed to where most of his pilot buddies are just going to be sitting in their rooms or just chilling at the bar. They're going to be sitting around playing on their phones, not moving as much, not working out as much. The first things first is going to be that activity. You want to be moving more. That is the number one thing, especially if you do not move more. If you live a very sedentary lifestyle, that's already going to screw you up to begin with. So just by moving more, that's a very low barrier of entry. That'll get you started. It might not completely take away the pain, but it might, decrease the side effects of it. So moving more is going to be the first step. Second step, some sort of resistance training. We want to strengthen those areas. Same thing, I'll use Angel, my 70-year-old. He used to have a very weak back and bad knees as well. With him, we progressed him in squats. Squats used to be painful for him, but he never practiced that movement pattern to an extent in which he strengthened it. It was more so fear coming from it, where it's like, wow, I probably shouldn't hit this workout because it hurts my knees. There's a certain amount of inhibiting where it will mess up your functional pattern, where you can just physically not do that movement. Or it's where, hey, this movement is very weak. You can do that movement, but you think it is going to hurt you, so you avoid it. And in this case, we just ease into it. We make that barrier of entry very low. We ease you into it, start to feel a bit more comfortable, and then make the proper progressions to where now even my 70-year-old is barbell squatting. And it originally came to me because of his bad knees and a bad back. So it's not that everyone needs to jump to squatting right away, but it's more so the sake that as you start to get that movement in, you need to start resistance training. And with that resistance training comes the next step, overcoming your fear. You're not as fragile as you think. You're not as broken as you think. Even my guy, like I said, my 64-year-old and my 70-year-old, at those ages, they have younger bodies than a lot of people 10 and 20 years younger than them. Some people that are 10 years younger than them already have walkers and canes. When in reality, they're still moving. They can still go about day-to-day life. They're still gardening. They're still taking their dogs on walks. They're still doing all these things. One of them, my 70-year-old, runs his own business still. They're staying cognitively active and physically active in the process. So physical activity, start with resistance training. ease your way into certain movements so you can feel a lot better. You want to build what I like to call your confidence and your comfortability. The more comfortable, the more confident you get with each of these movements, all it takes is just getting your reps in, doing it more frequently, getting used to the movement. The more confident you get with that, the more comfortable you start to feel with those movements. And then you're willing to push 5 pounds more. And then you're willing to push, a half inch deeper on the range of motion. You're willing to do more with it because you're comfortable. If I said, hey, jump off this 1-foot wall, you're like, okay, because you can do that all the time. Everyone's like, yeah, that's not a problem. If I said, hey, jump off this 5-foot wall, it's like, ooh, maybe not. Like, maybe let me start with this 1-foot wall and then go to the 2-foot and then go to the 3-foot wall and then so on. But that way you can at least ease yourself into it. And then as you continue to progress, you realize, wow, yeah, this isn't as bad as I thought. And then you see that pain starting to go away. You see the progress starting to be made to where you're like, oh, yeah, duh. Why didn't I do this sooner? They all tell me, all my guys 40 plus and my ladies 40 plus, all of them say the same thing. Wow, why wasn't I doing this earlier? Like, why was I so fearful of this? And it's because they didn't have the right guidance and the right structure to go there, or the right progression to ease into it. Where instead of just treating you like a 25-year-old bodybuilder, I'm actually going to treat you in the way that we need to, we need to meet in the middle. We need to come to a median. Where are you at? Where are you trying to be? And what can I do to help get you there? That's essentially the plan that we did with each of them in their own individual respects, so to speak. So far, we have activity, resistance training, that comfortability and confidence tied together. And then as you start to push yourself a little harder, you're going to realize, like, dang, I'm still actually a bit sore. So now what can we do to get rid of that soreness? What can we do to stay flexible, to stay mobile, to stay healthy and being able to move properly? Now we introduce some sort of mobility work, some sort of stretching work. So I have multiple stretch routines. I'll actually place those down in the description below. I've been doing this routine every single day for over a decade now. I have a lot of my clients do this routine as well. A very well-rounded stretching routine. I'll link them down below in the description. And then also some sort of mobility work, some sort of pigeon posing, strengthening the glutes. A lot of times stretching your hips out with a couch stretch. World's greatest stretch, stretching your serratus, your obliques, your hip flexors out. Being able to stretch all these muscles and strengthen them up in the process through greater ranges of motion with resistance training. Being able to do all this allows you to have more freedom with your body, more flexibility with your body, and mobility, which is flexibility with strength plus strength. So combining all these in the recovery aspect, doing these in your day-to-day life. Maybe you just work a 9-to-5 office job, you get home, your back's really tight, your hips are really tight. Maybe you just hit these stretch routines. You just start loosening yourself up a bit. Now you start resistance training. Like, wow, my legs are pretty sore from the gym. My hamstrings are extremely sore. How can I stretch these out? A million different ways to stretch everything out. So now you're incorporating the physical side of things, the lifestyle side of things. So physical being the resistance training, the mobility and whatnot. The mental side of things being the overcoming the fear, the confidence, the comfortability. And then the lifestyle side of things, which is the activity levels. Just stretching as part of your routine now. Doing something at home that's low barrier of entry, but that gives you enough to actually see some sort of progress and to actually take some sort of pain away. So now we're just kind of combining lifestyle, physical, mental. It starts to become who you are. It starts to get easier and easier as you go because it's just part of your routine now. So with all that said, if you're looking to get rid of back pain, if you're looking to strengthen up these weak muscles that maybe you haven't used in years, these muscles that you don't even think of, like a lot of my guys don't even consider training their glutes. Things like that, where you want to be able to strengthen these muscles and feel well-rounded, feel powerful again, like in your younger years, and then just feel like you have freedom and energy to do what you want and do what you need. If you feel like this aligns with you and this is something that you are looking forward to and you have been looking for, go ahead and fill out the one-on-one coaching application in the description down below as well. I'll reach out to you. I'll see what I can do. Just let me know where you're at specifically and then where specifically you're trying to go. The more you give me, the easier it is for me to actually help you out. Okay. Other than that, get moving, start putting a lot of these tips into action, and then you'll start to see that pain disappear. Until next time, peace.